YouTube and Facebook.
Yep. And
what's up, everybody? Who we are once again, the Life on Life's Terms podcast. And I'm Tom Robinson, a grateful recovering addict. And like I always say, we're not affiliated with any 12-step program.
but we are fans.
Yes.
My name is Chris Mandeville. I'm a heroin addict in recovery. And we are here at a New Wave Recovery Center in Quincy, Mass. on Quincy Ave. If you are in the area or in treatment in the Quincy area, or just in recovery, there's a lot of resources down here. There's several meetings every single day. They usually post it on their Facebook page if you want to check that out the day before, what the meetings are. And it's not just AA or anything. It's like recovery for veterans. It's right now there's a women's nurturing group going on.
Meditation.
There's meditation. There's refuge recovery here tomorrow night at 6:30.
Lots of good stuff.
Yes, tons of stuff. So LOLTERMS.com.
Oh, yeah.
Like, subscribe, share this video now. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. Please subscribe to the audio podcast. It sounds really good. We go through a lot of trouble to make it sound good.
We are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're
Google Play
we're
store.
Pretty much anywhere that there's a podcast available, that's where we are. We're kind of like drugs and alcohol. We're everywhere.
Recovery in your ears.
Yes.
Tonight, we got something a little different. Teresa's joined us for our first pilot episode.
The discussion.
The discussion podcast pilot episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're winging this. We were hoping to have 4 of us on our discussion nights, but it ended up being 3 because it was kind of a short notice thing. Thank you so much, Teresa, for showing up and being the hand of recovery.
Yes. And I want to dedicate this one to Father Joe.
Oh, yeah.
We lost a
Father
great
Joe.
man on Easter Sunday morning. He is a priest at the Holy Cross Retreat House, and
which all 3 of us attended.
Yes, which all 3 of us have been to, and
The
definitely
spiritual director.
Yes, he was a spiritual director, and he loved his snacks. Father Joe.
Yes.
Father Joe is one of the nicest people I've ever met.
He really was a sweetheart of a guy.
And it's kind of ironic that he passed on Easter Sunday morning. The resurrection.
I hope he had a great Easter dinner up there.
Oh yeah. So we're going to dedicate
the volume on the YouTube. Sorry.
Which one?
Upper one.
Yes.
In
We
the
just
middle.
wanted to make sure Father Joe could hear that tribute.
Yes. So this one's going out to Father Joe Callahan.
Nice.
So tonight's going to be a little different than normal.
Yep, and what we have is a half-baked plan.
Yeah,
we're going to see how it
First time I've
goes.
been involved with experimentation and half-baked plans
Yes.
and a first.
Yes. And Teresa is a return guest. So,
Yes.
I think Teresa was on before we even did any live
Any
Facebook
stuff,
stuff, YouTube. So her audio podcast is definitely out there. And this one, we want you guys to interact with us as much as possible.
Yeah, we're going to try to take some comments from the audience and talk about them too. And Teresa's brought a reading. I brought a couple little quotes.
What's up, Mike, Fantasia, Katie, Jen, Donna? So yeah, we kind of don't even know how this is going to go. So
Okay, then let me lead the way for a
yeah,
minute.
here we go. Take it over, T.
Hi, my name is Teresa. It was Gaffney for a long time that people know me as, and now it's Holly for the past couple of years. But I just don't know how to update my Facebook name, so you'll never find me. But Tom asked me to speak tonight a couple of days ago and said it was going to be a topic discussion.
Mm.
I said, well, what would you like as the topic? goes, "You pick." I said, "Oh goodness, let me pray on this." So I had two thoughts that came to mind, and I threw them out to Tom this morning at 5 a.m.
Yeah, really
and
early.
I knew, and one of the topics was about character defects, because I read this book just recently. Since it's live, I can show it to you.
Yes.
It's called Crossroads, and it's written by William Paul Young. He was the same author that wrote The Shack, which was fabulous. And
Shout out to Billy Young.
Crossroads was excellent as well. So, and there's a personification of character defects in this book. So I'll try to give you a little synopsis of the story without giving it away. And I am a 12-step girl, so, drop the rock or step 6 and 7 are important.
Yes.
When we talk about a character defects there, so it's recovery related in that respect.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
it's kind of cool that, I don't know if Mr. William Paul Young has any experience with the 12 steps, but he definitely has experience with God. I saw him on an amazing talk show with Oprah Winfrey. One of my faves. But it's a guy I'd like to hang out with. He's so cool. So cool.
Isn't it funny how, like, you see someone and you're like, I would get along with them.
So well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could hang out with him for a week and just chat.
Yeah.
He's very cool. You would love him.
Picking up the vibe.
Yeah. So in this book, the main character's name is Tony, and he's he lived not a very good life. He was very selfish and self-centered. He was a drinker. Amazing.
What a coincidence.
Paranoid.
Selfish and self-centered and a drinker.
Paranoid.
No.
Weird.
He was full of the bedevilments and couldn't hang on to relationships. And he had a broken life. He was a broken person. His parents died young, and he was in adoption. He was supposed to take care of his younger brother, and because there was a choice between two children and he wanted to be adopted first, he kind of threw his brother under the bus so that he would be adopted. So he felt guilty for that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so he lived with a lot of shame and guilt and brokenness. And so he lived a very tragic life, really. He was a terrible person. And he was drunk and ended up falling down, cutting his skull open, which was not a bad thing in a way, because I think they might have found a tumor. But he was in a coma. So in this coma, he's in between worlds. He's not dead, and he's really not alive. So he's in this coma, and he's in this in-between world.
Have you ever gone into any of the near-death experiences in the accounts of those? The real ones? Very cool. Anyway, don't let me stop you.
Very cool. And there's a lot of similarities in every single one of them.
Yes.
Like, they have the same experience.
Exactly.
So there's something to it for real. And I don't know if Mr. William Paul Young researched it or had experience with it, but he writes about the possibilities in an afterlife and in these relationships with God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus, and they come in different characters, which really opens our mind to who these beings or what these beings can be like, which is awesome. In The Shack, most people have read, God is a black woman called Papa. So it's crazy good.
Unfortunately, I haven't read The Shack.
Shame on you. It's so good. So in this in-between world, it's very desolate and almost like a desert. There's nothing growing. The structures, the buildings are very torn down and rocky and just miserable and poor.
Right.
And there's nothing that's alive here. And he meets the characters, of course, while he's there, and the Holy Spirit is an Indian grandmother, an old Indian woman that's called grandmother, and she kind of gives him some guidance while he visits the spot. And when he's not there, it's kind of a Whoopi Goldberg and ghost experience where he's actually in another person here on Earth. So he kind of goes in between the two. And so, but the person that he gets to be inside in this planet, in this realm, he gets transferred. If someone kisses another person, he gets transferred into them. So he gets to see through different eyes, and he feels what they feel when he's in their spirit, in their body.
Cool.
Can you imagine that? That to someone who maybe perhaps didn't develop empathy.
Exactly.
That would be quite a journey, right?
It was quite a journey, and it was his education. You know, he got to feel love. He got to feel compassion. He got to see even inside the mind of a woman who had dementia, and the challenges that woman had, and it's really quite amazing. So there's so many different levels in here, and there's so many paragraphs that I would read and just go, whoa, you know, and have to sit back. But while in this desert place, he gets to meet some of his character defects, which is what
now are they
our topic is, I think.
People?
They're personified, yes.
Okay.
Yes, everything in this desert space is actually a reflection of his heart. Because his heart at that time was cold and deserted. There was nothing that grew there.
Neglected?
Yes.
Possibly?
Yes. There you go, broken. And that's why the walls were high.
As so many of us are.
Exactly.
Yeah. All of us.
All of us have brokenness.
Yeah.
But I think it was really cool the way it got introduced. The characters of the, like, swagger and bluster came at him, you know, and they were all like, hello. And they reminded me of, like, Beavis and Butthead or some kind of Adult Swim characters, you know. And
nice.
just, you know, in his face and all like, we know you, you know, and he didn't recognize who it was at first.
Okay.
But they were always talking about the big boss. Well, you know, you don't want to meet the big boss. And he gets to meet the big boss, and the big boss looks just like him. It's a mirror image of himself, but much larger and yet distorted. And the big boss is Ego.
Ego,
Yes.
Yeah. So when you said we were going to read something as part of the topic, I picked out a couple of paragraphs where he has discussions or confrontations with Ego.
With Ego, okay, cool. Ego in charge is a big character defect, right?
It's yeah.
Something we struggle with, I would say,
I know.
as people in recovery.
So if you think this is a good idea, we'll keep going.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So here's Tony looking at this mirror image of himself, which is Ego, and he says, "Why do you exist?" asked Tony, more of a demand than a question. "Why, to help you make decisions," responded Ego, a look of cunning sliding across his broken face. "I remind you of how important you are, how necessary you are for the success of those who feed off you, how much they are in your debt. I help you keep score of the way they have offended you and the mistakes they have made that cost you. It's my job to whisper in your ear that it is you who counts in this world. Mr. Spencer," Tony, "you are a very important man, and everyone loves and admires and respects you." "That isn't true," snapped Tony, "and I really don't deserve their respect or admiration," because he had already been in the world here and saw how terrible he had lived, when he was in people's heads. So it's pretty cool. So you can see there's the allusion, or alludes right here, is like the ego is the reason for our resentments.
Right, because it doesn't. If people don't treat you how you think you should be treated because of who you think you are, I mean, it's always a funny thing. Don't you know who I think I am?
Yeah. Delusions of grandeur.
Delusions of grandeur, and it's a protection thing, right? I think you prop yourself up to try to feel good because you feel guilty or you feel bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting the way it says, "I help you make decisions." Like all of our decisions are based on our perception of ourselves or how we want others to treat us. I thought that was really insightful. And I didn't learn that until I went through the 12 steps of recovery.
If I'm the one selling the bags, everyone's going to think I'm awesome. If I'm the one who's got the this or that, everyone's going to think I'm cool.
Right. Right.
Excuse me.
So then it goes on a few pages later where Tony demands, "And who are you?" Because he really hasn't identified Ego as Ego yet. He goes, Come, Mr. Spencer," he laughed, folding his arms across his expansive chest. "Surely you know me. I am your superior self, all that you had hoped and wished to be. It was you, with the help of a few of your benefactors, all those other little character defects, who empowered you to create me. You fed me and clothed me over time. I grew stronger and more powerful than you imagined, and now it is I who have been creating you. Birthed as I was in the deepest recesses of your need. You were first my creator, and I was in your debt, but I have been diligent and have repaid you many times over. I no longer need you for my existence. I am stronger than you.
If that ain't the truth.
Crazy, right?
Man.
Yeah.
What was that? So, what did it say? Created from your need.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
That I need attention. I want people to.
I need love.
Yeah, I need love.
Yeah.
But we're so twisted. Like we think that the attention is love.
Yeah.
You know, because we may have not gotten any of that as well. And whatever we did get of it, like, oh, I need more of that.
Or security. Any type of security, like financial security. Mm-hmm. You know, I need financial security to feel confident and to feel powerful and to feel better than you. So that's where people amass fortunes and not relationships. You know,
right,
Yes.
that's right. You'll cut somebody's throat so that you can put a zero in your bank account, and it doesn't add up to a happy life.
No, the money does not make you happy.
No, and the lack of relationship,
Right.
the lack of
The things that you sacrifice for that money
it's a trick.
Yeah, it's incredible.
If you think about it, like that's the need is as when you start off as a kid, you're seeing all this stuff and you're looking at yourself and like trying to, where do I fit in? This is the need I have. I need to be accepted into all this stuff.
Right.
You know, I mean, getting the love and attention of someone will make you accepted. Getting the fear of someone will make you important, right? It's so insightful.
wicked.
Yeah.
And it's all a matter of perception, that twisted perception that is a lie.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's part of our disease, you know, where it's physical, mental, and spiritual. The mental part of our disease is that our perception is askew. It's just messed up. So we perceive ourselves and our place in this planet wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. So wrong.
So wrong.
That's right.
And we need something to change our minds.
Yeah.
You know, change the person that you brought in the halls, or change the person you are walking the streets. And what's going to change your mind? I've known you guys a long time, love you both, but I don't want you changing my mind, man. Because you're just as twisted as I am. So I need something really powerful and something that I can trust with my everything.
Yes.
That's gonna
definitely greater than myself.
Yes.
And like, you know, we all know that human powers have failed us repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we put expectations on them. And
even
what's
ourselves.
and what's an expectation? Premeditated resentment.
Yeah.
Like no one's going to meet it, and we're going to be disappointed, and then we're going to be mad at that person because they didn't act the way that we wanted them to.
Because my ego says, I think you should meet my expectation. I deserve this. Because it's those whispers. I've been whispering in your ear.
Right.
All this time.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's when you can go around with your propped up ego in front of everybody else, but then when you're by yourself, you don't like yourself that much, so you have to prop up more, or concentrate on propping up more, or you think back on stuff that you hate that you did. In the back of your mind, you tell yourself, "Yeah, well, I deserve." You justify. That's where you get the contradiction of. I ain't much, but I'm all I think about. I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's so obvious. You egomaniac because you have to be, because if you don't, then all of a sudden all that house of cards falls down, right? And now my justification isn't going to work anymore, and I'm left with nothing. Here I am, bare and no defense, and the no defense is where you have to start from. That's where I had to start from. Because when I went into Turnabout, okay, I had an ego, a false ego that I propped up all the time. You know, I was a musician. You guys don't know what I've been. I've traveled a lot, this and that, whatever. I was always a step ahead of what I thought I had to do to be cool, or to be different, or to be prop up that ego. But they didn't give a shit about that. You know, these people are, most of them coming out of jail, and they were like, saw right through me, screaming and yelling at me and shit.
Right.
And I was like, whoa.
So these were
maybe they're right.
These were the TAWM days. Remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
He even spelt his name different.
I spelled my name different. It was terminal unique. You know,
Yes.
I had to be different.
Yes.
Right?
Tom, TAWM.
TAWM.
I thought it was an acronym for something. I'm like,
No.
That actually, it came out of the acid days. You know.
Yeah. But like,
the doodling will solve the world's problems.
yes, it's insane. You know, so you had mentioned quotes.
Oh yeah, I got a quote.
And-
no, she's not done though.
Okay, so we'll get to those.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know because
we'll come back out of that rabbit hole and go down this one.
Can we stay in this one for a minute?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then he says to him, "Then leave if you no longer need me for your existence. Pack up and leave and take your cronies with you." Being all those character defects, this amused the big Tony. "Oh, I cannot do that, Mr. Spencer. This is my territory. This is my life's work. You may have set the foundation, but it is we who have built upon it. Long ago you gave us our right to be here. Sold to me your birthright in exchange for safety and certainty. It is you who now need us." "Safety and certainty," contradicted Tony. "Is that a sick joke? I've never known either one." "Ah, Mr. Spencer, not the point," prompted the other, his voice almost hypnotic and monotone. "It was never whether you actually had any true safety or certainty. It was only a matter that you believed you did. You have a magnificent power to create reality from suffering and dreams, hopes and despairs, to call from within the God that you are. We simply guided you, whispering what you needed to hear so that you could realize your potential and create an imagination from which you could manage your world. You survived this cruel and heartless world because of me." So it just echoed what we were just speaking about the perception being like twisted, and the walls that we build up. These protected us from.
Right.
So what we're talking about is ego.
Yeah.
This
Ego.
This conversation back and forth is with a gentleman and his ego that he allowed to create and take over, which we all do.
Which we all
we can
do,
identify
especially
that
in
for
active
sure.
addiction.
Yeah.
Big time.
Like so scared, but Big Tony is there.
There.
You know what I
He's
mean?
there to protect you.
You know?
What do you do? You know, if nothing else works, I'm going to get mad.
Yeah.
And you
But
don't want to be around me when I'm this mad.
I like how he said, what did he say? Security and what?
Security and certainty.
Yeah.
Security
And
certainty.
I've not known either. Not the point. You thought you had it.
Oh yeah,
You know
that is brilliant.
that twisted perception that we
is
have.
cool stuff. I love
Right?
it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I know when I was in active addiction and a drug dealer, safety and certainty. Oh my God, I had ultimate power, the God that you think you are. Because if you called me more than a couple of times,
Shut you off.
you're done.
Are you rushing me?
Yeah, don't
Really?
don't put me in jeopardy
Yeah.
by calling me more than once a
Yeah,
day
well,
or twice a day.
yeah.
I'm not going to meet you 2 times a day. It might
Too
look
hot.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you're meeting 70 other people,
I know.
you know,
Yeah.
it may look suspicious.
Yep, and I thought I was so clever, like, putting my drug dealers' phone numbers in code. This false sense of safety and security. Meanwhile,
Oh,
the
yeah.
cops tapped my phone line, so it
Yeah.
didn't matter
So they're just
anyway.
listening to who you're calling. They're not going to go in your contact list. They already got it.
I know. So I was delusional,
Right?
thinking that I had this false, sense of security and walls built up around me. People didn't know, and I can do that with my relationships and my heart and my love. Because if you hurt me, my ego says, it's going to
Take back the love.
Take that back the love. Don't give it to them anymore so that you don't get hurt. Let's build up a wall, put the bricks in place.
Yeah.
Now you can't hurt me anymore.
Oh boy, I remember I got hurt one time when I was young, and a girl cheated on me, and man, I used to think of that song. I'm a rock, I'm an island, and I would just be like, nobody is getting in. That's it. And that, you know what I mean? This has never happened to me again. And boy, did I build that wall quick and high, and you know.
Yeah, it's amazing what we do, you know. And like, it's so hard. A friend of mine says, you know, managing his character defects was like playing whack-a-mole.
Oh yeah.
Like you as soon as you like get one, you know, somewhat wrangled, the other ones start popping up even worse, you know.
Especially if they're coming from a place of fear.
Which is
It manifests in a million different ways.
But we're not going to say it's fair.
No.
Because ego will not allow
Exactly.
allow
Exactly. Yes.
I think that it's a journey, and that's our goal. It's one of our goals, you know, is to work on our character defects and try to become better. You know, hopefully, at some point we're a little bit better.
Right. And like,
right?
I think some people may be under the impression that your character defects go away, like, completely. No, we need to be willing to give them up and ask a power greater than ourselves to remove them.
Yeah.
But we have to constantly work on them. They don't, like, disappear.
Two things about that. Do we work on them? Can we work on them? The big book says we ask.
Right.
Yep.
And when we ask, we pray. So that kind of tells me that I am not capable of handling my character defects.
Mm-hmm.
Second part of that is, knowing myself, I've been a very poor judge of what's good and what's not so good. What I thought was fabulous landed me in jail.
Right.
So, like, my judgment is off. So, should I determine which of my character, which characteristics that I have, which are good and which are not so good? My judgment is off in every other arena. Why should it be okay in this one?
Right.
So, like in the other prayers, like the third step and the 11th, we give ourselves, all of ourselves, to God. Like, just take it all.
Absolutely.
The seventh step.
However, I don't think that that you just go through life and say, "Yep, oh well," you know, and not try just to be the best you can be.
Definitely be the
Right.
best you that you can be. But we ask God to direct our thoughts and our actions in order to be the best
Every day.
version
Yes.
of ourselves.
You know,
Yes.
Right?
In prayer and contemplation, meditation,
Yes.
every day.
Yeah. Even if if you don't believe in that higher power and it's a meditation thing, you visualize your highest ideal as a person. So you're aspiring to your greatest good.
Sure.
I still think that we need something, or even in meditation, maybe it's that inner soul voice or something. There's something higher.
Right.
There's a higher something.
Yes. And it's funny. I was reading something the other day, and they say once you think that, like, this power is outside of you, you're already losing it.
Yeah.
You know, like the God that we need to ask for help is within.
Yes.
Well,
And
it's
how it has always been within.
right.
but-
threefold.
Yeah.
In my
But
belief
for us to you know, because shit, we always want to go outside to get in. You know, we think everything's out here.
that's a good point.
You know,
Yeah.
we think everything's outside,
Yep.
but what we need, we've always had.
Right. It was given to us. It's our birthright.
Yeah, and it talks about that
Right. And
deep
so-
down in every man, woman, and child.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental idea of God.
Right.
You know?
And so you have the review at night, right? You review your day. You know, I don't remember the exact words because I don't read that every night anymore. I just don't.
Oh yeah, back in the day,
probably
86
should.
to 88,
Yeah,
when we
every
retire at night.
Yeah, when we retire at night, every night, and it's nothing wrong with that. That's great.
No,
I probably should do it once in a while because it's a good thing. But you know what? I review every night,
Yeah.
and you know I do it on my knees, and I it don't take very long to do it. Maybe I should do it longer, but
Maybe if you live in a good day, it doesn't take long.
That's true.
It's funny what helps me do it is Kinley. Pray with her every night before she goes to bed.
Oh, I thought she pointed out your character defects.
Oh yeah, she does that too.
That's awesome.
Are you mad? Why do you look mad?
That's awesome.
Yes, my facial expressions tell everything, which is good.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I believe that like.
You're not a sociopath.
Yeah, I can. People can see what's wrong with me. You know what I mean? Which is fine with me. Because I'm not gonna fucking tell you. You have to ask me.
You ask.
Yeah, you have to ask me.
And you've always been honest.
Yes, and that's something that I've been developing. Like before, if there was something wrong, I would never even say that there was something wrong. Now, I present it rather quickly, and then it doesn't. Own me anymore.
Yeah.
Be
assertive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember those groups?
Yeah, man.
Like
I think
in a job interview, trying to be assertive, or like that was one of the groups at Turnabout.
When there's a problem, say what you mean.
Just don't be mean when
you say it. Don't be mean saying it. There's no need to. There's no need to get mad in order to say something that you don't really want to say to someone. You just say.
Practice that all the time at work.
Excuse me, you got a second? I usually say like, "Hey, brother, I always start with that.
Yeah.
You want to like do this? That'd be all right, because you see what I'm saying here. That type of thing. Not like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You inconsiderate.
Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta work on that one a little bit.
It's
at home.
but for an addict like myself that like. I let people shit on me for years. You know what I mean? As long as they had what I needed.
That's right.
Like, I'd be like, oh, this motherfucker. Oh, what's up, dude? 5 minutes? Cool. Hang up. Fucking motherfucker. You said that fucking 10 minutes ago. That was 5 minutes again? But for me to practice assertiveness and like, to just stand up for myself.
Well, when we start to value ourselves a bit more, I think it's easier. I don't even call it assertiveness, but to be honest with your feelings and realize that you do have worth, and not coming from a place of ego, but even from a place of humility, but you still don't let people take advantage.
Right.
Or not,
right.
Or not be nice to you.
Because if you do that, you lose self-respect.
Yes.
You cannot respect yourself, and you might not admit it to yourself at first. Oh, I just let him do that because whatever. However, if you do it as a habit, you will become less respectful of yourself. You don't.
True.
You don't. And it doesn't. It's not going to make you happy. You can't be happy without fulfilling your own values, your own respect for yourself.
Well, that, and if we do gain that self-respect, now we are ready to move forward a bit more, because when we start to make amends and the like, it says we do not grovel.
Right.
We stand with our head held high, and we are not a doormat.
Right.
So it's here in the space, that 6 and 7 space about character defects, that we will start to develop that self-esteem by acting better, by acting with more right intention, and the like, and to. Because I don't want to lose sight of what Chris had said about, having my character defects removed. I don't believe that any of them really got removed. But they did get realigned. Like when I asked God, or when I found certain behaviors didn't work for me anymore, they didn't make me happy, they didn't bring joy to myself or anyone, then those are the ones that I would pray on. Please, relieve me of this bondage of self that makes me angry, or makes me act like a dick in traffic, or it's making me treat my husband, poorly. So that character defect, whether even recognizing in sobriety that my addiction had changed to people, they made me feel better, or they made me feel here if I was too high or too low emotionally, come home with me and make me feel okay. I was using people as my drug of choice. So when I recognized that, then I needed to, say, oh my goodness, God, help me with all this passion that I have, and set that to right purpose.
Right.
So I can be passionate about recovery. One of our very good friends, stubborn as they come. Which one?
Yeah.
And in her sobriety, very, very stubborn. She wouldn't drink. She wouldn't use drugs, just to prove us all wrong, that she wasn't going to drink. And that stubbornness has actually kept her sober for a really long time.
Right.
15 years.
Yeah.
So, sometimes our character, what we might think is a defect, is working for our advantage. But the ones that don't work for us, I think he'll just, my higher power, at least, and I've seen in my, witnessed in my life, is it's set to right purpose. If I get angry, let me get angry at the disease, not the person. So, it's my character. It's not going to go away. So, but it needs to change and get realigned to what is intended to be my best self.
Yes.
And sometimes I get in the way of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
As soon as we feel it starting to shift. Whoa, what's that? That's weird. Do I want to be nice to this person? Why?
Exactly. What's in it for me?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not getting anything. This feels foreign. So again, we're talking about character defects. This is a discussion podcast this week.
You wanted interactions. Anything
yes.
come up? No.
No, not really. People are just watching, I guess. So
people are saying, "What's up?"
Yeah.
This is weird. This whole thing is weird, right?
Yes.
Life's a little weird.
So yeah, we're talking about character defects. If you have any input, or want to know anything or whatever, chime in.
So here's our ego talking again. Anthony, if it weren't for me, the bigger Tony interjected and took a step toward the smaller one, you would be dead. I saved your miserable life. You wanted to snuff out your existence, and it was me that talked you into living. I own you. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So that, How many times did you just not want to wake up? You wanted the easy way out.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what the ego will tell you, that without it, you can't survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without me, you are nothing.
For sure.
So Tony felt his footing giving in, and as he teetered on the edge of an invisible cliff, he turned toward grandmother, who's the Holy Spirit kind of character, and there remained only an outline of her presence because his faith and trust had started to fade.
Yeah.
So grandma started to fade because the ego was having the stronger influence. And when our ego starts to sound louder than our spirit being, the spirit being fades out.
It eases God out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Ego, right?
Say it again.
Easing God out.
Yes.
Ego.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Your ego is not your amigo.
I know, that's a cute one.
I know.
So later, he has this fight. He's been again in this world. He's been in the person of this lovely, wonderful woman who is a nurse. So she's a very compassionate lady. She's a church-going lady. And her roommate is a lovely woman who has 2 children. One of them has Down syndrome, and he's been inside the Down syndrome's child's mind. Okay. And the insight and the hidden gifts that the Down syndrome child had were incredibly touching and very beautiful. Mm-hmm. And then the daughter is dying of some disease, some kind of cancerous disease, and she's just a young teenage girl, and she's in the hospital as well, where he is, but just in a different wing.
So this is the roommate's daughter?
Yes. So he gets to be like a part of all this and witness all this and feel all these feelings, and he can communicate too. He literally the Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost thing.
Yeah.
He's talking to this woman, and she's like, "Whoa," So it was really very, very cool. So he's growing. His heart is growing while he's in this realm, and then he might, fall asleep and end up back in this in between space,
in the limbo spot.
Yes. So as he starts to grow emotionally and spiritually, and he had that previous fight with Ego, the big Tony, there was a really good section here where he had the fight. And now that he's stronger. Oh, okay. So he ends up back in the in-between world, and he wakes up to see this young little girl, a little girl that's kind of beautiful. And he said, "What's your name?" And he was finally able to say in a whisper, and she beamed and said, "Hope. My name is Hope." Any reservation he had broke, and tears splashed onto the ground. Hope reached up and lifted his chin until he looked deep into her incredible eyes. "Fight him, Mr. Tony," she whispered. "You do not fight alone." So she was talking about Ego. He says, "Fight who?" And she said, "Your empty imaginations that raise themselves up against the knowing of the character of God. Fight them." He said, "How?" "Get angry and tell the truth." I thought anger was wrong. "Wrong? I get angry all the time at everything that's wrong." And he said, "Who are you?" he finally asked. "I am the one who relentlessly loves you," she said, beaming, and stepped back. "Mr. Tony, when you find yourself in the darkness, don't light your own fires. Don't circle yourself with the blaze that you have set. Darkness cannot change the character of God." "I thought Grandma left me right in the middle of the battle." And she said, "Never left. Your imagination hid her from view. You were fighting your own fires." "I don't know how to do that," confessed Tony. "Trust, Mr. Tony, trust. Regardless of what you are reasoning or emotions or imaginations are telling you, trust." He said, "But I'm not good at that." And she said, "We know. Trust that you are not alone, that you are not hopeless." And she smiled and kissed his cheek. So this little girl, Hope, is actually, turns out to be God. That's the God figure in this. So it's with hope and trust in this God that we can fight our ego. Because later he does stand up to Ego and he yells at Ego and says, "You're a liar. I don't need you. I take away all the rights I have given you. I want my life back. I want my own choices back." And then the world, that in-between world, starts to bloom. The walls come crumbling down. A big river kind of washes through him, almost drowns him, but he's in a coma in the between world, so it doesn't matter. So he lives through all that. But, it changes the landscape of his heart. So it's
Wow.
And that's
Cool.
just a couple of pages.
This is the book Crossroads from
Crossroads.
Who is it?
William Paul Young, the
William
same
Paul
author
Young.
of The Shack.
Yes.
Willie. Hey, you want to come on the show, Willie?
Yeah,
Seriously.
Let's interview Willie.
Because
That's
we
a-
love you.
Yes, very good stuff. Incredible.
Yeah, that book
You know,
is it's funny because you said a quote earlier. I had no idea what you were coming in with or whatever, but one of my favorite is something I say all the time, and I didn't see it until a kid that I know had passed away, and I had heard that he passed away on my way up to Maine, and I went on his Facebook page, and favorite quote was, "Those who make themselves great shall be humbled, and those who remain humble shall be made great." And like that's everything that we're talking about right there. Like
Very well.
that's just like one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard, because I've seen it, I've watched it. It's ego. If you think you're better than, someone's going to show you you're not.
And what was interesting in that last part of it was that he thought anger's bad. Well, it kind of brings me to like, well, what are we talking about exactly when we're talking about character defects? So if there's a defect, you must have some sort of ideal, right? You got to have some sort of ideal in your head that's without defect. In order for there to be defects, you got to have, you know what I mean?
The opposite of
The
it. Right?
opposite, So we must be working towards something, right? Some sort of character that. But I think it's individual. I think it's something. It's so important to value your own character. It's like, and to have a sense of honor. You live as a person of dignity and honor today, as opposed to before, where you were just, trying to use any scam or game that you could to survive.
Right.
Right. And that's what builds up your ego, to, because you're afraid of what people think of you. So you got to become something they think is acceptable. But if you're working towards in sobriety and you're working towards a character that you think is acceptable, that you think without anybody else's opinions coming at you think is acceptable, I think that's the case. Does that fit into? Can you have integrity and be consistent with what you think is your character that doesn't have the defects? Of course, anger is just, that's an emotion, right?
Well, I think once you reach that place where you are that true highest self, or the best self that you can be,
right?
Anger is going to have some kind of moral code or direction. So things are going to make you angry that are social injustices.
Right.
Sure.
Or against a moral code.
Yes, things are going to shift.
Right, rather than having anger at other people and places and things that aren't suiting your needs and feeding your ego and that kind of thing. So the anger, what makes you angry is going to change.
For sure.
And how you express that anger is probably going to change.
Right.
How you use the anger, maybe. Like, I know I would use anger to repel problems. You know what I mean? One of the problems oftentimes would be that I wasn't getting what I wanted, or I was afraid I wasn't going to get what I wanted. I was afraid that you had some sort of problem and I couldn't deal with it. So I was going to get angry about it to repel people. But yeah, anger can be power, right? This is a quote from Joe Strummer of The Clash. Anyway, anger can be power if you direct it in the right direction. I don't think it's necessarily a character defect.
No.
It's an emotion that can be used, in a bad way.
Right.
Yes.
If pushed in the right direction or directed the right way, it can definitely be a great motivator.
Right.
But
it's not a way of life.
No. You
You
live angry? No.
I think I get angry when I'm sad. Like, those seem to go together.
Yes.
Like, if I'm super sad about something, like it just breaks my heart, then I can be very angry about that. At the same time, there's like anger and sadness. So
do you think the sadness pushes over towards hopelessness, and then you get angry?
No, because I'm just really sad that they're hurt, or like their brokenness is making them act in a certain way that doesn't bring them joy, or me joy, or anybody joy.
Right.
And the same about myself. I think if I'm acting in a way that's not bringing myself joy or others joy, I'll get angry at myself for being stupid or making that mistake again, or acting in a way that is not the best.
Yeah, I get angry at myself too when I'm acting just like unthoughtfully, just out of self-interest.
Yeah, and not mindful of others.
Right, and then you find yourself all of a sudden you did it, and then you look back and you're like, damn it. I can't get that out of my life. But that's the thing. It's another character defect is not being able to forgive yourself.
But that's ego saying that you're more powerful than the universe being able to forgive you. You know what I mean?
That's right. If you don't forgive yourself, then that's your ego. Yeah, you're right.
But I could take that anger and on the other side of the coin misuse it constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I get angry at stupid people. Like, who am I to judge their intelligence level just because what they're doing is affecting or causing me more work?
Right.
That's right.
Because it's not going the way you want it to go.
Right.
Exactly. Ego again.
Right. Actors would only.
And Tom, you were talking about our character, like the way we are out there when we're ripping and running. Like, we have to have a certain type of character for protection.
Yes.
Play a character.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Play a character.
And that's what he said. I kept you safe.
Right.
I kept you secure.
Right.
Yeah, because we put ourselves in
But I
harm's
never
way.
knew either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
the end of
Because
the day.
we were still scared.
Yes.
But that's not what we showed.
Right.
And
so
we didn't feel
the
safe.
self-denial, and the lies that we tell ourselves that keep us in that place.
So many lies.
So many lies.
It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, you only read a couple things. You know what book got me like that was Conversations with God.
Now that's one I've heard of. I never read it.
No, and I heard that Breakfast was with Buddha. It's supposed to be
Really?
salmon too.
But Conversations with God, I have it on audiobooks, and Ed Asner. And
good
I
old
forget
Ed
the woman's
Asner.
name.
Showing our age.
I forget the woman's name.
Who is Eddie Asner? Eddie Asner.
He was doing. I forget what show he was on. What was the show? I can't even think. But if you're out there and you know what show Ed Asner was on, let me know. But so Conversations with God is a guy who's angry with God, and he writes a letter, an angry letter to God. And as he finishes this letter, God starts responding, and he starts writing it down. And God comes through as Ed Asner and as the woman. And the author of the book is in there too. And any question that he ever had is being answered.
Nice. Cool.
I listen to this book because it can be difficult for me to read because I end up reading the same thing over and over again. So I pop it on, listen to it. Some of the stuff was so mind blowing. I backed up and listened to it again. Like
that's how I read a
like
paragraph
I am I, like the whole concept. What? Like if you get a chance, yes. If you get a chance to read it or listen to it, it was amazing. And I still have two other books because, I'm kind of budget savvy, and I was like, I get a free book? Okay. So I picked the one that had 3 books.
There you go.
So
Is that you
it's
mean
3 conversations with God? Like
yes, 3 books. Yes.
Wowee, that's a long conversation.
Yes, but it was recommended to me by my therapist, and I was like, let me check it out. It was great. It was really good. It was
Love
really
when
good.
that happens.
But so I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'll read it too if you need me to.
Yeah. All right. Hey T, a couple chapters. Go ahead.
So I pulled this silly quote off of the internet. Let's see if anybody
The interwebs
inspires us at all. Just on the way over here, and then I have another one slipping my mind right now. It's on my phone somewhere, but maybe we'll just read this one. Let's see. By practicing the virtues, we cultivate the soil from which healthy emotions sprout. By letting go of our character defects, we drain the swamp in which diseased emotions breed. That's pretty good.
like stagnant water.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in this book. Things start to grow and flowers start to pop up.
Oh, and the landscape of the world
The
between.
landscape changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the character defects, the little minions, they're like, oh, that's ugly. Those are weeds. And it's a rose.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like little Tony's like, no, that's a beautiful thing. That's a flower, that's supposed to be there. Because the character defects don't even want things to grow.
Right. No, because that might change something.
It will change things. It makes them less important.
Yes.
Healthy emotions sprout, right?
Yes.
As opposed to disease emotions breeding. That's pretty good, yeah.
Like mosquitoes.
Well, I think
Stagnant
a lot
water.
of people, and it can happen, not a lot of people, it can happen when people have a lot of negativity in their minds. They manifest it physically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You manifest what you feel. Like if you're always thinking negative, negativity is going to be attracted to you.
Yes, or even worry. If you're worried, I was just reading something, probably on the internet, because I was looking up about Lyme disease. Somehow stumbled upon something where the doctor was saying, I've known plenty of people that have obsessed about of the fear of a particular disease, and sure enough, don't they get it? And it's not a hereditary thing. It's something bizarre.
Yeah.
And it happens.
Oh yeah, the mind is hugely powerful for medical things.
Yes.
It's totally obvious. Yeah.
What you put out,
Geo on, right?
Yeah.
So
really obvious.
what you put out into the universe comes back. You know, so if you're always like, this sucks, shit's gonna suck.
Sure enough, it sucks.
You know, so it's you know, it can be a difficult practice to try and think positive all the time. But
it can be changing one word. It's like if you have a history of relapsing, please don't call yourself a chronic relapser.
Right.
Because if you say I'm
That's
a chronic
good point,
relapser, you are giving yourself permission to relapse again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard that on someone.
Me,
Someone was talking.
I always say it.
Yeah. No, but
I always say it.
I think it was either Aubrey Marcus or Russell Brand. Like they were talking about that as well.
Just one word can change things.
Just changing. It might have even been Tony Robbins.
Well, it's
You change one word on what you say.
about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it changes.
Your self-identity is a huge effector of your behaviors. You know what I mean? If you think of yourself, like you say, as a chronic relapser, if you think of yourself as someone who's likely to steal your wallet and help you look for it, if you think of yourself as someone who absolutely loves everyone, that's what you're going to get.
You're gonna manifest
You're
love.
going to be that.
Yes.
If you think of yourself as someone who drives like a friggin' maniac, that's what you're going to be. You know, whatever it is, however you identify your subconscious mind, according to what I've read, your subconscious mind will bring that out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wants to be congruent. It wants to be, follow suit with whatever your identity
Right,
is.
so that there's no conflict.
So there's no conflict. That's right. It doesn't want a conflict. So
whatever you put after I am is like putting the God stamp on it. So even if it's not good, like I am greedy, I am jealous, like
That's what you will be.
That's what
Right.
you will be. Like,
or you don't even
I
have
am.
to say it out loud or in your head. You just have to picture that.
Your
Think of
inner
that.
voice.
That's the way you imagine yourself to be. In the back of your mind, you know that certain situation comes up and I'm likely to to do that.
yeah, I'm gonna fuck this up.
Yeah, or I'm
Yes,
gonna fuck this up.
you
There
just
go.
said it. Now
Yep,
you're
now you're gonna do it.
Well, when you were using, that's why frothy emotional appeal seldom
Right.
suffices, right?
There you go.
When you were using and someone said, I love you, please stop.
Right.
It wasn't so much that I can't stop. You weren't even thinking that way because you didn't know about your disease at that point. It was like, I'm not lovable. Your thoughts like, I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
You don't believe it.
You don't
Yeah.
believe you're
Yeah.
lovable.
Yep.
So that saying that frothy emotional appeal, I love you, holds no weight with us because our negative self-talk says, I'm not worthy of your love.
Yes,
That's right.
Or no, you don't. You don't
Yeah,
love me.
you're lying. You just
yeah.
want me for something.
Uh-huh. What's
Yeah.
your angle?
Right.
The
And that's
reason-
what's going on in our heads.
The reason I know
So it
that,
has no effect.
that identity thing is so true because when I was in Turnabout with you, when I went to 6 months of in-house intensive treatment, and I got out on my first overnight pass, I was lent a car by my girlfriend at the time. I had a car. I was by myself, and I started to get in my head, and I said consciously to myself in my head, I said, yeah, but this isn't me. This isn't who I am. I can't just not drink or not. And then like as soon as I said as soon as I started to think that way, I was like, well, I can't just not drink or smoke pot or anything. Then it was like the other guy came right away. Like immediately it was like, well, I might as well use dope. Called up dope and got it. And John Bonney, he was the director of Turnabout before we were there.
Yeah.
He was my godfather. They called him and yeah, he passed away. He came. I remember he came, and they called him to come see me to tell whether I was using or not. He came. He looked at me, gave me a hug, and just left. Didn't say a word. And that's when I called, and I called Turnabout, and I was like, I used.
Right.
And they're like, you can't come back. I'm like, damn it. But anyway, the point of the story was, I told myself, this isn't me. This is not,
Sober Tom.
Sober Tom is not me. I don't know who this is. This other guy that they're trying to make. I'm going to go back to who I am because that's my comfort zone.
Right.
You know, that's the character of the ego that I had built.
And it's the lie that you told yourself that you were willing to believe.
That's right.
So crazy.
It's easier to do.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. Well, there it is. 59 minutes.
Yes.
Of the first discussion podcast.
Yes.
On the Life on Life's Terms podcast. And
fun.
thank you so much.
Yes.
I loved it. It was good. It was really good. And I love the book. And, maybe some more audience participation next time would be good.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
Whatever.
But also, I could have thrown it out there earlier today that, hey, we're going to have a discussion. So this is our first one.
Right.
We'll work on it.
Next month, we'll try to do it once a month.
Yes.
Next month, we'll have more time to prepare. Thank you. You prepared so much.
I know.
She's awesome.
In a couple days.
Oh, my God.
I brought this to work today, and during my break, I'm like, okay, where was that page? And I put the little tabs on there.
Right.
Oh, thank you so
So
much.
that was a
fantastic.
15-minute break.
Yes.
But I just loved that book.
Yes.
Yeah,
that
So
that
cool.
book sounds
Very cool.
good.
Sounds good.
Yes.
And I didn't give away the ending, so if you want to read it, it's a good read.
So, yes, our discussion was on
Character
defects.
Next
Mainly,
month.
this one was mainly ego,
Yeah.
which
Which is huge.
Real big and
is
distorted.
everything, which is everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's comprised of everything. It's the big boss of all
Yes.
the little minions.
Yes, Mr. Spencer.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot.
So yeah, LOLTerms.com.
Please subscribe.
Like, subscribe, share. We're also on YouTube. We do have an Instagram.
We haven't put anything up there yet.
But yeah, if you want to put something up there, go ahead.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to come on here, please message us. We've had a few amazing guests that have messaged us.
Yeah.
That wanted to come on. So please.
Let us know.
Hi, Stacia.
Hi, Stacia.
Yes, or if you know of someone that you think would be a good fit for us, and maybe they don't want to reach out or they are too shy, throw them under the bus.
Yeah,
we'll message
throw 'em
them.
under the bus. We'll message them.
We'll get them out. We'll get them on here. Yes. So, LOLterms.com, the Life on Life's Terms podcast. Like, subscribe, share, and that was a
Peace.
great one. Thank you. Peace.
That was awesome.
But yeah, that book sounds great.
I hope so.